What is going on, everybody? It is lunchtime, lunch with the Clydesdale on my day off. Didn't have to go into work this morning. Got some stuff done around the house. Talked to a friend. Had a good morning. Listened to the Saghafi interview on Sevan. Yeah, all caught up with everything there. C001, what's going on? Train to Live, Corey, Leonard, Lido, Kenneth, Jody, all in the chat already. Good to see everybody. Glad you could make it. We're going darts today. I haven't done that. I missed it for a couple weeks. I think I've got some sites figured out. So we're going to try this today. Oh my goodness. It may be the first ever bullseye. It may be. It's going to be really close. Knowing my luck, it's going to be just on the outside. So let's see what we got here. I don't know if you guys can see that. It is right there on that piece of metal. I think I just missed by the width of the piece of metal. Oh my goodness. You guys were almost here for like the first ever bullseye. Yeah, I think I missed, man, by the width of the metal. I've got it sighted in now. I know where to aim. We're going to get it. We're going to get this week. I know it. I know it now. I'm doing it left-handed. It's been a new kind of thing for me. I'm doing it from a seated position at a 45-degree angle. We're getting it this week. Oh, so last night we had an awesome show. Man, it felt fatiguing because, you know, we got the news of Carolyne early yesterday morning, worked on some stuff like that. I wanted to be able to ask her some questions before she got hit up by everybody else in the podcast world to come on their shows. And I wanted, because she's us, she's part of us. So I wanted that exclusive thing. And what I love about Carolyne is you just never know what answer you're going to get from her. Like, in my opinion, as an observer, what she did at NorCal, like, it was like one of the best performances I've seen from her in a couple years. And I don't know if like she found something magical or something in her training that got her there. And so I asked her about that. And I said, is this the fittest you've ever been going into the games? And she was like, nope. I was much fitter from 28 to 30 than I am today. That there has been some decline in her lifts. And like, to get that brutal honesty from an athlete, you don't get very often. And so like, it's all like, it all takes me back a little bit when she says things like that. But I know that she has to be, she is conflicted. We've talked a little bit that being a backfill is, she said, if I was a backfill as a drug suspension, she wouldn't feel like angst or anything at all. But the fact that someone got hurt and now it's a backfill, it is kind of a bit of a pull on her. But and that she does have a sense of obligation that when she goes, she doesn't want to waste this opportunity. Right? Here's Alex, who, you know, a podium contender, could be competing with Tia for the title, and Carolyne is taking her spot and feels an obligation not to waste this opportunity. And that's a lot, and that's pretty heavy. And I'm glad that she kind of shared a lot of that last night with us. I know we talked to her afterwards. She has not booked a flight. She's not booking a flight until she actually gets the email from CrossFit. So she's still kind of in limbo a little bit. But I know she's training hard. Her fitness is not going to be in question. She is going to be ready from a training perspective for the games. So that's pretty awesome. And then hopefully she gets that email today or tomorrow. She said she would let us know as soon as that happened, which we have not got word today yet. So hopefully something comes very shortly for her so we can get that locked in. But as a co-host and a friend, I could not be more proud. I have never been this connected to a CrossFit Games athlete. And I'm just super excited for her. Cannot wait to see her at the games, and hopefully we get that enhanced access. And I just got a DM from Carolyne. She got the email. Literally just popped up as we were speaking. She got the email, and it looks like it's official. So Carolyne will be going to her 4th CrossFit Games. And that is awesome. So it is official, everyone. Carolyne Prevost has received the email from CrossFit giving her the invite to the CrossFit Games, and it is official. Heard it here first. Just came through my DMs as we were talking. So now she can book those flights. She can get that hotel room. And hopefully I can get that enhanced access where we can get some footage of her behind the scenes at the CrossFit Games. Lito says, breaking news, change the podcast title, Scott. I will change it right after we're done here. So yeah, if you're just joining us just now, 5 minutes, within the last 5 minutes, Carolyne Prevost officially got the email from CrossFit. She is going to the CrossFit Games. So that is awesome. And I could not be any more proud of her. The feels I got that she's getting to go, being a co-host with her on this show that has taken off for us this year. And she's been a big part of that. And I'm just so excited for her that she gets another opportunity on the big stage. And then what Lito says up here, how amazing is it, though, that she'll be doing both games? Because then she'll do those. She'll turn around. She'll come to Columbus. She'll do the Masters games, where she is the #1 seed in the 35 to 39-year-old division. Let's not forget that. She won both the Open and semifinals and is coming into the CrossFit Games in the Masters division as the #1 seed. And she's going back to the Elite CrossFit Games another time for her 4th visit to the CrossFit Games. So exciting. So exciting. If you missed last night's show, right off the top, we talked about Rich Froning's first pitch. And then right after that, we went into Carolyne getting the backfill, most likely. And then today we officially find out that she did get the email. It is official, and she's off to the CrossFit Games. So super excited for her. I just got finished watching the Saghafi interview with Sevan. They talked about a lot of things. Majorly 3 big topics. One is the documentary she did with Hiller and how she has leaned into her Christianity much more this year. Hold on, before we move on. Lito, I understand she's feeling conflicted about the Gazan situation, but she shouldn't. When you think about the fact that Copacer has 2 spots, if NorCal had 3 spots, she would have qualified. That's a great point. She is not the 31st best athlete. She is definitely in the top 30 of the athletes going to the games. I will give you that. There's no debate about that. Has been leaning into her Christianity. They talked about the Hiller video and how she got comfortable enough to talk about being raped in college and how that made her start CrossFit. And then I've had her on the show, and she's talked to me about having very dark thoughts in college, but she never gave the explanation as to why. And she did kind of imply that those dark thoughts led to suicidal thoughts. She explained that a lot more on Sevan's podcast today about the dark thoughts to suicidal thoughts in the connection to being raped when she was in college and feeling alone, and that there was nobody there for her. And wow, if you have any water in your eyes, it's going to start leaking, because it was really, really powerful, her talking about that. And then they went in to discuss her signing the PFAA letter for the demands to have Dave fired, the transparency, and the third one, the release of the third party investigation. When they were talking about that, I have follow-up questions myself. Not that Sevan did a bad job. It's just that the Fee trying to explain it makes me believe some thoughts that I've always believed about the PFAA. Of the 8 people who signed that document, off the top of my head, I think there were only 3 at the games. So those 3 people are telling the story to the other 5. And there you have this issue with, it's going to be tainted with their viewpoint, whether they intended that or not. And so I believe it was Victoria Campos, Pat Vellner, and Brent Fikowski would be telling the other 5 what happened at the games. And so you're getting relayed information from somebody else, and you're making a decision based on what they felt in that moment. And it's been no secret that Brent and Pat especially have had a long-standing feud with Dave about the way things are handled, about their place in the ecosystem. And so I think that they are naturally going to have a slant that is anti-Dave. Fee answered that with, Fee was not at the games last year, Lito. She did not qualify. Fee answered Sevan with that she loves Dave's programming. She thinks he should be programming, but he shouldn't be making the safety decisions. That is not what the demand letter said. The demand letter said he should be removed as the head or director of sport, meaning he would no longer be programming, no longer setting up the games, no longer doing any of this stuff. So I get this feeling that there's not a complete understanding of what the demands were to the people who signed the letter. And again, I said last night, I've been texting with Fee over the weekend, and even before all of this stuff in the last few days has happened with Brute and her and the interview with Sevan, I've been trying to get her on the show. I consider Fee a friend. I wanted to have her on. She calls it coffee talk whenever she's on with me. I asked her if she would do that. She said she would. It's just trying to find a time that fits for her, because I know she's on another show later this week, and I do want to ask her some follow-ups to that. Because if she didn't understand exactly what the letter was, and she thought that Dave would be, if they met the demand, he would be staying on programming and doing things like that. That is not what the demand letter said. And I'm curious to kind of know that. And then they kind of finished up their interview with the relationship between her and Danielle, and how it's been contentious for a while. And that they had a talk about a month ago to try to sort it all out, and just realized that they're better off not being friends, but it didn't need to be contentious anymore. And hopefully that is the case. So Really good interview. It was 2 hours long. Doug Reed, the demand letter clearly stated Dave's removal from CF Sport. I agree with you completely, but that is not the interpretation that Fee gave in the interview today. And so that's where I think maybe she didn't completely understand what the demand letter was supposed to be, if that makes sense. Because it clearly stated in the letter that it was removal from sport, not necessarily removal from CrossFit. Like they were okay with him being back on education and those types of things, but not in the sport at all. Doug, that's one way to look at it. Brent being transparent as Brent can be. That could be taken that way. It also could be that he has a bias in the way he feels about Dave, and it's going to exude from him when he's explaining the stories that happened at the games. It goes back to my belief that I do believe there's a place for the PFAA and that they should be there as a representative of the athletes, and the athletes should have some voice in that. But I think the way they are set up is not good for what they're trying to accomplish. I think it is very top heavy, and they put a lot of power in the top few positions, and the rest are just supposed to trust them to make those decisions because they made one vote one time a year. So I think it's a very poor design. I think if they had a board of directors that were representing everybody and voting on mundane things all the time, and then when you have the big votes like a demand letter, it goes back to the body. That is a more authentic way to go about it. Corey says, never sign something you haven't read and fully understood. Yeah, I always read those long privacy claims that I get in the email that I have to sign to be able to watch my streaming channel or to pay my bill. Always read every word of that. Corey, Brent has been bitter ever since the year he and Pat got cut from the games before they did any meaningful CrossFit. I think they make it sound like CrossFit doesn't listen to them, when in fact CrossFit may have listened to them and just doesn't agree with what they're saying. There's a difference there, and I don't think in their mind there is. Do you think she misunderstood, or that this was just her justification explanation of why she voted? I generally believe, Lito, that she misunderstood. I've known Fee a while. She grew up here in Ohio. I knew her around the local comp circuit before she made it to the games. And then I'm naive too. Like, I really believe in the best in people for the most part. Fee has never, ever said anything that I didn't believe. I really, truly believe that Brent and Pat, mostly Brent, run the PFAA, and they put some votes in place to make it so they have the power to make decisions, and they can then enforce their agenda as the PFAA. I think that, and I like Brent. I've had Brent on a bunch of times, but I do believe that he believes that he knows the way it should go and the way that the organization should go, and he puts the votes in place to make it so that he can do that. And what I think it's doing is setting them up to fail, because he's not truly acting on behalf of all the athletes. He's enacting stuff on what's best for him and his ideas. If you look back at what the PFAA has enacted, it has all been height required things like ring height requirements, pull-up bar requirement heights, whether you should have risers or not underneath those bars. Those are all things that he was passionate about when he first took this over. And none of it had to do with safety. None of it had to do with safety until what happened to Lazar. Nobody questioned the safety of the games until what happened with Lazar. I think, and this is my personal opinion, I have no facts to back this up. I think they took the tragedy of the games and Lazar's death to think that they could make a leap into being more important than they were. And it failed. And it failed miserably. Corey Leonard, you can 100% listen to someone and not give in to what they're demanding. I hear you and I understand your concerns, but that isn't something we are going to address. If you go back and watch the Dave interviews prior to the games, Pat clearly had an axe to grind. That was not a secret. Brent and Pat have had an axe to grind against Dave for years. They were two of the three people from the 8 that were at the games. If they were the ones conveying the messages as to what happened at the games, it's going to have a bias to the other 5. And again, what Fee said in that interview was that she wanted Dave to stay on running the games. She just didn't want him making safety decisions. That is not what the demand letter said. If that was her impression, something got missed in translation. C001, 2,000%. Every time I attack the PFAA, I get dogged in comments. So I'm sure this is going to come. And again, I believe there is a place for an athlete organization, but this one is not run well. It is not organized well. They leave themselves open for these types of attacks. And Sevan made a good point this morning. Do good service for a while and build up some equity. And then you can have these conversations and make a difference. Making demand letters gets you nowhere. So, Judy reads, Sevi posted a link to your show just now, Scott. So awesome. He has been awesome though. It has not gone unnoticed. The amount of promotion he has done for our channel and our show. I truly appreciate that. Fikowski and Vellner are trying to make a second career out of this. I agree. That was another thing Fikowski said in the Mayhem podcast. And I think it was actually Rich saying that he didn't think an active athlete should be the one running the PFAA. In all other sports, the unions are run by an active athlete. The president of the union is an active athlete. Who better knows what the active athletes need than an active athlete? I think that retired athletes or close to retired athletes have a different opinion as to what they need. So I don't think that's the best way to go about things. So anyway, that's that. Again, I have reached out to Fee. We've been talking. Hopefully I can have her on and I can ask that follow-up question because I do think that there isn't Andrew Sten, the president of the NFLPA. The NFLPA is an active athlete. There is a person above that person, but the president of the NFLPA is an active athlete. Larry Young, I don't blame Dave. Things happen in sports, but I also think if we are testing for the fittest, More than one person should be programming the games. Everyone has biases. I don't disagree. I mean, that the I don't know. That's an interesting thought. I think that there needs to be somebody over the programming, Larry, so that it has like some continuity to it and to make sure you're not repeating things too much. But should there be more than one person involved? I do think there is more than one person involved. I do think that Dave talks to people. But if you're saying that maybe those people should change from time to time, maybe that's the answer. I don't know. Andrew Stan, oh, okay. So is the person above the president the one running it? It's usually an attorney that is above it who can help draft up the languages and things like that. But I don't think the person that you're referring to is running it, and I don't remember the exact term for that person, I don't think they have a vote. That's the difference. The president has a vote and is an active player, and then each team has a team rep, and they are the upper body voting members. Larry, Boz and Dave had different results. I don't disagree with you. I think they have different philosophies. So whoever is going to run it is surely going to have a different philosophy. And as we were talking last night, we did the top 5 favorite tests from the CrossFit Games, and a lot of them came from Boz's year. And it may be recency bias because it was only 2022, and it may be that it just was different than what we've seen. So people were more akin to enjoying that a little bit more because it was different than what we'd seen. So that, I guess, it makes it makes an argument for you. Jody Lynn, always love your top 5s. Yeah, last night's was we thought it was going to be a light show because we didn't have much news. And then the Alex Kazan thing broke. And so the top 5 tests from the games actually was we went through it quickly. It was actually designed to have more debate to it. But then with everything that broke, we had to kind of jump into that. So there you go with that. The last thing I wanted to talk about is at the end of the show last night, we got into this ramble about the split as to what's going on in the ecosystem, how you have Metfix affiliates and High Rocks affiliates and WFP affiliates all competing for the CrossFit affiliates. And I know I've been hitting Metfix pretty hard for the last week plus, but I want you to know where that comes from. And I don't mean to beat a dead horse, but I was an obese person who walked into a CrossFit gym looking for help. When I got Pete Shaw to come on the show, I wanted to know what new, shiny, fancy thing they had that I was missing out on. And I truly wanted to learn from him, what are you bringing to the table that I'm missing? Because if it's going to help me with weight loss and being fit and being healthy, I want to know about it. So I dive into my research, and I'm having a hard time figuring out where the difference is between them and CrossFit. So I have Pete on the show. I start asking him questions. He starts diving into this technical jargon. And I ask him, okay, the people in the chat are losing you. I'm losing you. Can you put in layman's terms for me what it is that you have that CrossFit doesn't have? Whether you are an extension of the L1 or you're trying to replace the L1, what is it that you have that is different? And his response to me was, as I've been paraphrasing it, is, we don't want to give that all away. We want you to dig for it, because then it'll mean more to you. That's not the exact thing he said. He said, it's not designed to be spoon fed to the individual. We want them to do more research, etc. As someone who is begging for help, that is the last thing you should be doing to me when I walk into a place for help, is hiding behind the science. What was beautiful about what Greg did initially was that he had this concept of how to help people get metabolically corrected. And that was, get up off the damn couch, stop eating sugar. Super, super simple. Get up off the couch, stop eating sugar. Now, there was a few more words around it. And then he preached that down to these people that were so passionate about it, they paid money to become an affiliate because they wanted to help people. Those affiliates then opened their doors to the general public to walk in. So when I walked through that door, I walked in scared as hell, thinking this can't be a place for me. And within 5 minutes, the people inside that building changed my mind. And with that, changed my life. Simple as that. What the last week and a half has done for me, and I'm not here to bang on Netflix again. I'm here to say what the last week and a half has done for me is made me fall in love with the affiliates all over again. I'm not here to hate on Metfix. I'm here to love on the affiliates. What they do is awesome. How they open their door and love on people who walk through that door is awesome. And that's how you're going to cure the metabolic crisis. It's not by telling me that there is a new way to create metabolic flexibility if you just do blah, blah, and blah. That means nothing to me. What I needed is a person to come over, give me a hug, tell me that this Murph workout, we're going to figure out a way to get you through this, and we're going to make you feel strong about yourself, and we're going to make you feel like an athlete again. And once you do that and you feel what that's like, then we're going to talk about how you can change your diet up to promote coming here and being more and more successful. And when I first walked into that affiliate, it was eat the foods that are going to give you energy and power to do what you need to do here. And if that food doesn't help you out coming in here, don't eat it. It was as simple as that. I went from like 520 pounds to 260 pounds. Getting off the couch, walking into an affiliate, and eating the food that helped me out and not eating the food that didn't help me out. And so, because now I've remembered my love and I'm reminded as to why I love the affiliates, I'm really freaking upset at Metfix. Because it's not just CrossFit rebranded without the L1 and without the sport in addition. It is someone trying to take away what we have that's so beautiful. Because the affiliates are beautiful. The affiliates are what CrossFit is all about. These coaches, these gym owners who care about their customers so much. That's what's important. And what Medfix is trying to do is take that away. They add one new concept of metabolic flexibility and then don't really explain it well. And then they say, hey, join us because we're going to talk about nutrition more. Talking about nutrition more doesn't help me lose more weight. Understanding what I'm doing helps me lose more weight. More is not better. And in this case, simple is better. If all your more is doing is making it more complicated, we've lost it. You've lost it. Science is cool. Once you figure all this stuff out and you want to dive into the science, more power to you. That's what broken science does. And that's cool. But broken science doesn't walk into the gym and try to tell you how to lose weight. They're just out there as a resource for people to read, for people to go look at. And then it's up to those affiliate owners who care so much to love on these individuals who walk through the door and help them with whatever they are looking for, whether it's gaining weight, whether it's losing weight, whether it's gaining muscle, whether it's getting a first pull-up, whether any of these things. And our affiliates are so good at that. So good. That these people who are trying to take it away are really starting to piss me off. So it's not like I'm trying to do hit pieces on Medfix. I just don't try to take away my CrossFit affiliate that helped me change my life. Jay Birch, here's my answer to this. What is that Medfix affiliation doing for that affiliate? Again, nobody could answer my question as to what are you adding to the pot to help me accomplish my goals. And nobody's willing to give you that answer. Go back and read the transcript from my talk with Pete Shaw. He tells you that they don't want to make it digestible for you. They don't want you to be spoon-fed. They don't want you to understand. They want you to dig more for yourself. None of that helps me. It's all got to be smoke and mirrors coming after what is remaining of the affiliates in this system. And that sucks. They're trying to convert. I don't think they're trying to add on to the CrossFit affiliation. I think they are trying to convert the CrossFit affiliates to them. If they were just coming on as an accessory, why would they pay people like Athena to not use the word CrossFit when she tells her story, but to only use Greg's methodology? And it's coming out that Athena was not the only one offered money. MDL1s were offered the money. What hurts with weight loss and trying to become healthy is getting things overcomplicated and not focusing on the simple. Jody Lynn, in my geographical area, the only Medfix affiliates are longtime CrossFit gyms, so I see it as an allegiance to Greg Glassman, even though he isn't a part of it. I don't disagree with you at all, Jody. I do believe that the gyms that have dove in are because of Greg. And Greg technically is involved. He's not saying, hey, this is not my idea. He's giving them clearance to use his material. He wouldn't do that if he's not a part of it. But I think they've lost sight as to what CrossFit's plan was initially. And that was to get you off the couch and stop eating sugar. Talking in all these technical terms does not help me figure out my weight loss problem any more than the man on the moon. And I think that the WFP, now that I'm seeing things in a new light, maybe did things in a way that wasn't cool either. The only difference between WFP and MetFix is that WFP is not, I don't think they're having the effect on the affiliates that MetFix is having. Jay Birch, I don't think the allure is for the gym goer, it's for the gym owner. Okay. Here's where I disagree a little bit is I, as a gym goer, because I don't own a gym, was trying to figure out what part of my nutrition am I missing and what do I need to get from them to be better. And I spent a week trying to figure that out. And I could not figure it out. So if you're sending that message out there for me to grab off of Instagram or to grab off the internet or off your website, again, and it totally discounts the fact that they are doing things like trying to pay people to not mention CrossFit and to mention them. Aaron Fraser, you didn't spend enough time. That's my point. I spent a week, and if I'm an obese individual, which I'm still trying to lose weight, and I'm spending a week to try to figure something out, you've lost me. You've lost me as a program to help me out. It can't be done. Denise Moore, you own a garage gym. I do. Not an affiliated one, but I do own a garage gym. Denise, just seems shady to me. I agree. I think everything they're doing right now is shady. But I don't want to keep talking about it. I wanted this to be the final thing about it, and then I'm going to move on and get back to the fun stuff. But I wanted you to know where I was coming from. This was about going back and remembering the magic of what helped me out and what were the simple things I did to move forward in losing weight and to become healthier and to become more fit. And I needed that. I needed that reset button to go back to the beginning and figure this out. But in that process of remembering that and learning that again and falling in love again, I got upset at MetFix for trying to distract me away from the simplicity that is already there and available to all of us. I know you were being sarcastic, Aaron. We need a nutrition coach that doesn't regurgitate the same old routine. For me, my age, it's not going to work. I dropped 60 pounds this year, but had to go to 1,600 calories, lose all muscle from everywhere and everyone. Yeah, 1,600 calories is rough. Yeah, I know everybody's saying congrats. It's at what cost does it come with? What cost does that 60 pounds come with? Because I'm trying to get back to a point where I don't care about the pounds, where I just care about eating only what helps me, getting up off the couch and doing what I need to do, and not eating what doesn't help me. And Yeah. Corey couldn't say it any better than that. Yeah, that's rough. But I'm to the point where I'm back to cutting vegetables. I have radishes and cauliflower and carrots and celery and peppers in my crisper all the time, where all I just do open up a bag and that's my snack. And I love those things. So why isn't that cool? And I have some fruit in my fridge. I have some cherries and grapes and apples and some pineapple and that's there too. And then everything else is just eat some chicken, eat some carb at every meal, eat some beef, eat some carb. I'm just trying to get back to the simplicity of everything. Vicky, I'm with you. I lost 55 pounds. I wouldn't have done it if I had to go digging and essentially getting a PhD to find it. There you go. 100 grams of protein a day, and I'm still pretty strong for an old guy. I'm just saying it's different for all of us. Need to lose another 40. It's not really happening. See, that's where MetFix got me. Is you hit these plateaus and you want to lose more and you want to get even healthier, and so you're trying to find that next magic piece to move you from plan A to plan B, and it's all smoke and mirrors. And when you fight, you just get so discouraged with that. But really, it's just about resetting yourself and getting back to day one and do it all for you. Denise Moore, I have to eat 170 grams of protein to maintain my muscle. And that's why you are one of the strongest, badass women in the Masters CrossFit field. Yeah, I'm with Andrew. That doesn't seem like enough protein, Larry. So, all right, guys. I'm going to end on this little note. I know we are really long today. Thank goodness I have the day off. Saw the movie Heads of State over the weekend. If you have not seen it on Amazon Prime, it's John Cena and Idris Elba. And one plays the Prime Minister of the UK and one plays the president. And it is a fun action adventure movie. It really fun. If you're into like 80s action movies, it's got all of that for you. Really enjoyed it. Never going to win an Academy Award. But if you just want like 2 hours of brain dead, shoot 'em up, car chase scenes, that's what it is. And it is, give it a full B plus. It kept me entertained, just like C001 said, kept me entertained. But really fun movie to watch. Yeah. Larry Young, I'm same Scott, smoke and mirrors. I just don't believe it at all anymore. About to squat 500 in 10 minutes. There you go. I haven't hit 500 since high school. I hit 470 a couple years ago after a couple back surgeries, which I probably shouldn't have done. And then I've not gone up for those numbers lately. I always wanted to hit 500 late in life. But I think my back just will not be able to do it anymore. Jay Birch could stand to lose 50 myself. Andrew Sten, go see the F1 movie. Even if you're not into racing, the cinematics are incredible. Best racing movie ever made. Corey Leonard went and saw the new Jurassic Park this weekend. Standard Jurassic Park shenanigans. Larry Young, daughter making me do Jurassic. Yeah, I saw this morning where what's her name? That's in the new Jurassic Park. Oh gosh, why am I can picture her. Scarlett Johansson. Scarlett Johansson has now become the biggest or most highest paid actor in cinematic history. Or highest grossing, maybe. I don't know. With the Jurassic Park movie this weekend. Corey's review, spoiler alert, people get eaten by dinosaurs. Scarlett Johansson phones it in. Jay Birch, has anyone seen Sinners? I actually looked at that last night because Buddy Guy, who I just saw in concert a few weeks ago, is supposed to be in it, but it's a horror movie, and I don't do horror movies. So I did not click on it. Sevan, doesn't Scarlett have 4 adopted kids who are all queer? What are the odds? I don't know. I don't think she has any adopted kids. I think you're thinking Angelina Jolie. Maybe. Corey 6'2", 262 this morning. That's a big man. CO1 Sinners is great, kind of a play on Dusk Till Dawn. Jeremy Eats World, isn't Sevan queer? I don't know. He's find out an answer. Judy Reed, I'm usually not a fan of Scarlett, but I liked her in this movie. Okay. I like her as Black Widow. Black leather outfit doesn't hurt her a bit. But that's just me. With that, guys, we have really long today, but I want to thank you all for jumping into the chat. It's been a fun day. And yeah, have a good one. And we'll be back tomorrow for lunch with the Clydesdale. And don't forget, we got official word during this show. Carolyne Prevost got the email from CrossFit. She is going to the CrossFit Games. It is official at this moment. With that, have a great day, everybody. We'll see you next time on Lunch with the Clydesdale. Bye, guys.